I felt so free. In my 40s, my family doctor and gynecologist confirmed that I'm in menopause early. I haven't had my period for over a year, and better yet, not one single menopause symptom. I feel free because since age 14, my periods were always painful and difficult and impossible. Back then, every doctor, every hygiene class, every female relative told me what I felt was normal. One doctor said it was just the luck of the draw. Some women like me have it bad, others felt nothing. And I learned to live with it, despite it, contorting my life to what felt like a monthly hurricane in my gut. The truth is, I grew to hate it, hate all of it. It felt like there was an angry alien inside of me. It didn't seem to like me much either. There was nothing normal about the monthly pain and bloating, the backache, nothing normal about taking all that Midol as a teenager, the missed social events, the dates, because I didn't feel well. Nothing normal about carrying around a stockpile of pads and tampons, just in case. By my 30s, that angry alien in my gut ups the ante. And now I'm fainting from the pain of ovulation, on top of the monthly hurricane of pain and bloating. I'm diagnosed with endometriosis, but only after waging my own year-long campaign to get any doctor to listen to me, GPs, gastroenterologists, gynecologists, anyone I could convince that the fainting and the pain was not a mere inconvenience. It wasn't normal. And no, it wasn't because I was psychologically resisting being female, one doctor's suggestion, or that I was overweight, another's. No, this wasn't normal. As I'm coming out of the surgery for endometriosis, the surgery that promises to make it ever so slightly better, my surgeon, the preeminent specialist, he whispers in my ear, "It went well, but just get yourself pregnant, my dear. That will make it better." You see, that's what we told women then. Just get pregnant. It was supposed to make it all go away. The thing is, I didn't want to be pregnant. I didn't see him again. So menopause in my 40s? Hell yeah. I felt free. The unhappy tenant in my gut just went silent. Until my 50s, when overnight, it's back. The familiar back pain, the dull ache, the bloating, that weird metallic taste in my mouth I remember viscerally as part of my monthly hurricane, and now it's accompanied by fever. And I'm well past menopause, but damn it, it's just all back. How can this be? I call a doctor. Of course, I Google my symptoms. And there's all this research available now, and I learned that the symptoms that I have felt all of my life, well, maybe they're nothing. But now, at my age, they're much more often associated with other things, like indicators and symptoms of ovarian and endometrial cancers. And now I'm terrified, because now there's a whole lot more I want to feel free of. I'm Johanne Pelletier. This is Good Gyn, Bad Gyn, Stories of Women's Health. Stories about periods and hormones, about weight and aging, about bone density and pregnancy, and the things that grow inside us. Here are the stories.
I'm in the Zoom room, sitting, waiting for the doctor. I've seen a lot of doctors over the past couple years. I haven't really been feeling well. I'm not sleeping. I'm tired all the time. My skin's breaking out. I think my gut is messed up too because I'm losing a ton of weight, but I'm also bloated all of the time. And I haven't gotten my period in years. I mean, initially, when it was gone, I thought, this is great. I don't have to worry about the hassle of carrying around pads and tampons. But a couple turned into an entire year, and now a couple years. And I was worried, so I searched on Google, and I came across all of these articles about what could happen to a woman who doesn't have a regular menstrual cycle, like osteoporosis, dementia, infertility. And I've always thought that I'd have kids. That it would be an option, so the fact that it may not be an option scares me. I searched everywhere. In New York, while I was living there, for doctors and influencers and women's health evangelists to tell me what to do to get my period back. And I did all of it. The saunas and the supplements and the diets and the different food intolerance testing. But none of it has made me feel better. None of it has made me get my period back. So I have this new doctor. She's not really new. She's a family friend. She's known me ever since I was little. And she's just that many years older than me that my parents respect her opinion. She had me take a bunch of tests last week. And this call is so that we can go over the results. She gets on. She smiles. Asks me how my day is going. And then asks me how I feel about my results. I got my hormone report back last night, and I was sitting next to my mom on the couch as I read through it. All of these graphics showing my different levels. And next to estrogen and progesterone, in big red letters, is written postmenopausal. I am 29 years old and I have postmenopausal levels of estrogen and progesterone. I failed at being a woman. Am I one? And I look up to my mom who's smiling at me, and I don't have the heart to tell her, holding back tears, that her daughter failed at being able to do the thing that she was supposed to do, that she was born to do. I feel like a failure, I tell her. I feel like my body is failing me at the one thing that I am supposed to do as a woman. Am I ever going to have kids? Shweta, that's not the question we need to be asking. But will you get your period back? I think so. I think you can. I know you can. Because your body, it is making hormones. Your body is being really strong even though you think it's failing you. Because after all of this weight loss, all of these supplements, all of the stress, the no sleeping, the extreme exercise, it is still holding you up. It is still making hormones. But you need to make it feel safe. And you know what makes a body feel safe? Nourishment, restoration, rest, carbohydrates, fats, enjoyment, pleasure. How are you doing in those things? Because that is what is going to make your body safe enough to feel like it can make estrogen and progesterone again at normal levels. Hormones are built through fat. And so that is what we're going to have to try and build. To heal your gut enough so that you can put on some weight. So that you can maybe put on a little fat too. Fat. It's the one thing that I have never been called. In a town where all of these girls were so beautiful with their blonde hair and their blue eyes. And in a family where my mother has the most beautiful dimples and cheekbones and always looked so put together, I looked like neither. I never felt beautiful. I never felt like the kind of girl who guys would fawn over, who people would call feminine. The only thing I really had was being thin. The only thing that I've always ever had is being thin. And yes, I'm a lot thinner than I usually am, but she's telling me that I'm going to have to maybe give up the one thing that makes me feel like a woman to get this thing that'll prove to me that I am a woman. but I don't want dementia or osteoporosis. I maybe want to have a kid one day. So I listen, and I stop exercising as hard. I start eating more, trying to sleep, incorporating fats and carbs. And as I do that, I start to feel better. And I start going to open mics and telling stories and reading my poetry, things that I never really used to do. My hair, that's always in a bun, it's down now. And I'm wearing more dresses. And I'm going on dates and I'm meeting people and I'm smiling and cooking and dancing. I feel that feeling, but I still don't have my period back. And every month goes, and every month I stress if I'm doing something wrong, if I've done something wrong. I'm in the shower and I'm about to get out. And usually I don't look in the mirror, but today I do. And I see something different. I see a butt. And I mean, for a person whose butt has gone directly into their back for the past decade, to see a butt is different. And on it, I see a dimple. Do I have cellulite? I mean, I've been doing all of these things, and yes, I've gained some weight, and I'm eating more, and I'm resting more, and doing all of these things, but cellulite never was a good thing. So I reach out to my doctor. Is it okay that I have cellulite? But before she can answer, I Google. And I am searching for something to tell me that I'm not doing this all wrong. And I read an article that says cellulite is actually a sign that your body is making estrogen again, that your fat levels are safe enough. I look at my mom and I smile. I see her dimple. I've always wanted hers, but now I have my own.
So I'm 38 years old. I'm sitting on my bathroom floor, and across from me is my boyfriend. We've only been together a few months, and in between us are 5 positive pregnancy tests. And I know now this is why they took the contraceptive sponge off the market. Just saying. So we talk about it and we decide we're not getting any younger. We're going to do this. We're all in. We're going to have this baby. The first 3 months I had morning, afternoon, and evening sickness. It was literally nauseating. Once that went away, I started to have this overwhelming sadness that was sort of seeping in, and the sadness just got heavier and heavier, and it turned into a depression. I started to ice out my partner. I was avoiding my friends. I felt completely disconnected from my body. I didn't even recognize it anymore. And the worst part was I felt no attachment at all to this baby that was growing inside me. Because I work in the field of mental health, I feel like I did what a lot of mental health professionals would do, and that was I totally hid it. I hid it from everybody. I didn't tell anybody how I was feeling because, you know, when you're pregnant, it's supposed to be the happiest time of your life. And I was miserable. I had to go for an ultrasound at the beginning of my 3rd trimester, and I told my partner not to come with me. I do it by myself. And I went and sat there in the waiting room with all these happy couples, just feeling almost like a fraud and just completely detached from everything. The ultrasound technician called me in, and I went in the room. I lied down on the examination table, and she was everything I wasn't. This woman was tall, she was blonde, she was thin, and the worst thing was she was completely excited about my pregnancy. It was like, oh, you're all baby, and get on that table, let's look at your baby, and do you have a name for your baby? Is it a boy? Is it a girl? And in my head, I'm just thinking, oh my God, shut up. I just wanted her to shut up and stop talking at me because she was making me feel worse and just like a terrible person because I had no excitement whatsoever. She starts the ultrasound. She's still talking. I'm just answering her with one word answers. She puts this jelly on my stomach and she's moving this ultrasound wand, blah, 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 baby, 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 talking. And then all of a sudden, she stops talking. And I think, oh, thank God. But then I look at her and I see her and she's squinting at the monitor. And then I hear click, click, click as she makes the image bigger. And then her hand comes up and she turns the screen so I can't see it. And I think, oh my God, is there something wrong with my baby? And she's not talking. And then she gets up and she says, just stay there. I'll be back in a second. And she leaves. And I'm lying on this table and I start to cry and I'm thinking, I did this. It's because I don't feel well. I did this. I did this to my baby. And the door opens and a man comes in a white lab coat, introduces himself. He's a doctor, going to continue the ultrasound. And he says nothing to me. He's just moving that wand around. And all I can hear is click, 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 click as he leans in and he looks at the monitor and then he leans back. He turns the screen and he said, when babies develop their spine, it's kind of a half circle. The spine itself looks like a zipper and all the teeth line up. And he said, look at your baby's spine. It goes around. He's like, the teeth line up, but then right here it drops and it doesn't line up anymore. And then it goes back up. And he says, this could just be a moment in baby's development that we're catching on the ultrasound, or it could be something more significant. I want you to come back in 2 weeks. We'll do another ultrasound and then we'll know what we're dealing with. And do you have any questions? And I can't even talk and I just shake my head and he leaves. And at that moment, I know I have to do something. Like I have to fix this because this is because of me. And I start bargaining and I start to bargain with a God that I don't even think I really believe in, but I'm bargaining and I say, God, if you make my baby okay, I'll be a better daughter and I'll call my mother more often because I'm kind of a shitty daughter and I never call her, but I know that's not a good bargaining chip. And then I say, God, if you make my baby okay, I'm going to stop swearing because I fucking swear all the time and it's my worst habit. And mommies with babies shouldn't swear, but I know even that one's kind of bullshit. But I know I have to dig deeper and I finally do. And I say, God, if you make my baby okay, I'm going to get help because I know that there's something wrong with me and I know it's affecting my baby and I'm going to get help and I'm going to be the best mother my baby can be and I'm going to love my baby, God. And then it hits me, I do love my baby. I love my baby and I just want my baby to be okay. And I say, please, please, God, just please do this. I leave, I go home and I tell my partner how I've been feeling and what happened at the ultrasound appointment. I call my mom because I made that bargain and I'm sticking to it. And then I call my midwife and she immediately sets me up with this therapist who works with women who are dealing with prenatal depression because it's a thing. Who knew? I knew about postpartum depression. I didn't know prenatal depression was something that women suffered with, but I had it and I was suffering from it. And I suffered through my whole pregnancy. I start to see this therapist and things start to make sense and I start to feel better. And I feel like maybe I'm getting a toehold and a foothold out of this dark, slippery pit that I've been falling into. 2 weeks later, we go back for the second ultrasound and my partner is with me this time. I'm on the table. The doctor comes in and starts the ultrasound. He puts the jelly and he's moving the wand around and I hear it. I hear click, click, click. And I see him leaning in and I hear click, 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 and I'm closing my eyes, and then I open them, and the doctor moves his chair back, and he turns the screen, and he says to me, I think it was just a moment in time that we caught in baby's development, because he said, look, your baby is perfect. And again, I close my eyes and I just think, thank fucking God. And then I threw one of these in for good measure.
I didn't go to the doctor for 10 years. No pap smear, no mammogram. I suffered with a strep throat using over-the-counter meds because I didn't want to make a doctor's appointment and hear the inevitable words, Mary Jo, you need to lose weight. This went all the way back to when I was a kid. My mom took me every year before school started for my annual checkup and vaccines. The doctor always said, Betty Ann, Mary Jo's weight is a little off the charts. She needs to lose weight. Oh, doctor, yes, whatever you say. We'd leave the office with a brochure with a diet or calorie counters or something. Once home, my mother began labeling everything for Mary Jo, not for Mary Jo. And this just went on for years. Until I was a teenager. And then the Mary Jo weight loss mission intensified, and my mother took me to see Dr. Siegel, the famous diet doctor in St. Paul, Minnesota. He drove a Rolls Royce. Good business diet doctoring. One day a week after school, I went to his office to be weighed. And if I didn't lose enough weight, according to some mystical calculation of his, he dispensed more pills. And this means that he upped my dosage of pills I was taking. He didn't write prescriptions for these. He reached into his drawer and he pulled out handfuls of pills and pushed them across the desk and said, take so many of these and so many of those. And I did. And those pills started to mess with my mind. And I became crazy and emotional and depressed and hysterical and energized all the time. I had fights with my parents every night. One night, I was so mad at them, I ran up to my bedroom, I slammed the door. I didn't know what to do with all my energy. So I took the screen off my bedroom window. I crawled out onto the dormer and then up onto the roof. My parents were down below my bedroom saying, no, honey, it'll be okay. Don't worry about a thing. Come back in the house. The very next morning, first thing, we were at the doctor's office. Not the diet doctor, my regular doctor. And he flipped out when he saw all the pills this 14-year-old girl was taking. But mind you, that's the same doctor who every year said, Mary Jo needs to lose weight. I struggled in my teens. I tried to keep my weight down. My mom was always like fixing diet meals. When I was out on my own, I gained weight because I didn't really know how to do that. I didn't pay attention in home economics. One day I'm at a doctor's appointment and he said, I have a system that's worked with some of my patients if you're interested. I will prescribe liquid protein for you, and you take that 3 times a day and all the 0-calorie beverages you want, and you'll check in with me 3 times a week. What the hell? I weigh over 200 pounds. I'm 28 years old. I don't want to be this heavy. I get the prescription filled. It says pre-digested protein. Ew. And I took that 3 times a day and 3 times a week on my lunch hour. After I took my shot of pre-digested protein, I ran down to his office for a urine sample and they drew blood and I got weighed. After a while, I was really starting to want some more flavors and I kept buying different flavors of diet soda and tea. And about 2 or 2.5 months in, I saw a giant dill pickle at the deli. I brought it home and I cut it in wedges. Every night when I got home from work, I took a piece of dill pickle and I sucked the garlic, salt, pepper, dill, all those spices. Tasted so good. And then I just flipped the rind in the trash. The doctor sat me down after 100 days and he said, "You've done really well. You've lost over 50 pounds in 100 days and I'm proud of you. But it's not healthy to continue on a fast. So you need to start incorporating food into your diet and just try to make smart choices." And that was the extent of the nutritional and psychological support that I got. And I really didn't know what to do. I just was yo-yoing for the next couple of decades with every fad diet that came out and what was ever on the cover of the women's magazine at the supermarket. Until I gave up. I don't care. I'm going to eat what I want, when I want. Nobody can tell me what to do. And I was pretty depressed there for a while due to life. And I just was eating whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. Lots of good stuff. One morning, I thought, my clothes are getting tight. I think I'll weigh myself. It hadn't been for months, maybe a year, since I'd stepped on a scale. I weighed almost 300 pounds, and I'm 5 feet tall. I flipped out. I thought, I am not going over 300 pounds, and I'm not buying any more fat clothes. I figured out a diet plan that dealt with portion control over deprivation, because the deprivation diets never worked. And I did well. I lost over 100 pounds. I was pretty proud of that. And I checked the BMI chart, which I have checked obsessively my whole life, and it still showed me as obese. I was no longer morbidly obese, but I was obese. And that just really bugged me. And I'd have to lose a lot of weight just to be normal, but really, who wants to be normal? My current doctor doesn't talk to me about my weight unless I initiate it. On a recent appointment, I apologized to her because I gained a few weights during COVID. She said, "Don't worry about it. We're all under a lot of stress. Are you eating 5 to 6 servings of fruit and vegetables a day?" "Yes, I do that." "Are you getting any exercise?" "No, I'm not." "Well, just get out of the house every day and walk around the block. Just do that." "Yeah, I can do that." And even though I know I could lose more weight, it doesn't matter to me. And if I feel like it in the future, I will. But for right now, my doctor and I both agree I'm fine being pleasantly plump.
It's 1997 and I'm 32 years old. I'm standing in the bathroom and I've just peed on the stick. And it says, "You're pregnant." I am so happy. And I'm also so terrified because about 3 months earlier, that stick had said, "You're pregnant," on a Friday morning, and I was elated. But by Sunday night, I'm wiping blood and flushing something pink down the toilet. How did this happen? I have been taking my prenatals. How did this happen? My mother calls me, and she says in her wisdom, "Missy, there was something wrong with it, and Mother Nature took care of it, and there's nothing that you can do about it, and you're just going to have to live with it." But I don't want to live with it. Well, you are. And I know that my mother understands this because she too had also lost a baby in a bathroom about a couple decades earlier. But during that time, from 1940 to 1971, women who were having problems holding their pregnancies were given a drug called DES. It's a big long name, but that's what I'm known as. So I'm a DES daughter. And that's a concern in the medical community because they found later that DES kind of messed with the cervix. And the cervix is really important. It's like the baby door. It's the thing that like dilates and then it opens up and the water comes out and the baby comes down the canal. So you're telling me that my baby door might be broken? Well, I can't take that drug, but what can I do? And I know at this point that my baby's name is Quincy. And I don't know if you're a boy or a girl, but Quincy, we're going to have the best pregnancy. I'm going to be healthy. I'll exercise. I'll eat right. I won't drink. I won't dye my hair. And I'll read everything. And I did. I read about natural childbirth and co-sleeping with your baby and, of course, breastfeeding. And I'm making little like ice trays of frozen baby food for Quincy when they're ready to have it. We're going to have a healthy pregnancy. It's August 22nd and it's the due date. Yay! And August 22nd comes and August 22nd goes. And the 23rd comes and the 23rd goes. And I'm on a newspaper deadline mentality. So I'm like, come on, Quincy, it's called a deadline, but you're going to come out and everything's going to be good. Let's go. The 24th comes and goes. When my doctor calls on the morning of the 25th and says, okay, we are going to probably have to speed this up. So I want you to come into the hospital tomorrow at 7 a.m. and we're going to put you on a saline drip. A saline drip, what's that? Don't worry, it's just going to help get that cervix to open up a little bit and then we can move forward with birthing that baby. How about that? I'm like, okay. She goes, but no eating, just in case we have to go into OR. What? No eating? Are you kidding me? I am a pregnant woman. I will mow people down to eat the furniture if they're in my way. And I'm not going to need surgery? Melissa, no eating. Okay. So the next day, 7 a.m., I'm in the hospital and they've got me hooked up to the drip and I'm sitting there sucking on my ice chips when the doctor comes in about midday and says, I want to check things and see how they're doing. I'm like, okay. And then whoop, this woman's arm goes up my canal and she's like up there trying to find my cervix. And then she pulls it out. I'm like, good God, are you going to buy me dinner? She's like, yeah, it's not moving. Okay, I'm going to give it a few more hours and I will be back. I'm like, oh, great. Looking forward to that. And she comes back a few hours later and once again, comes back out. It's not moving. I'm like, yeah? Are you going to move in? She's like, no, seriously. We're going to have to go into OR because at this point, you have so much saline in you that your uterus could erupt and that's not good for you or the baby. I'm like, oh my God, really? She's like, yeah. I go, does this have anything to do with the fact that I'm a DES baby? I'm sorry, what? I'm a DES baby. Okay, we're going to prep for OR immediately. Get her down there. I want you to walk down to the OR. I will meet you there in a few minutes. Okay. As I'm walking down this white, sterile hall with the bright white lights, all I can do is cry and say, I'm sorry, Quincy, this is not how I planned it. I didn't want to have any spinal taps, nothing, epidural, nothing. I wanted you to be natural, honey. When my husband says, some people can't ever have babies. He's right. And this baby is appearing healthy, and this baby needs to have a mommy. Okay. I'm just going to have to trust. As I walk into the OR, they have beautiful classical music playing. And they lay me down and they put the oxygen tube up my nose and it's super calming. And Kenny comes in laughing and he's dressed in white scrubs with a white hat and he goes, look at me, I look like the Michelin Man from Ghostbusters. And he did. And he just wants to keep me distracted and laughing. And he does. We're laughing about Finding Nemo. We're like, keep on swimming, because I'm getting wasted now. And they said, yeah, you keep on swimming because we're going to start tugging. I'm like, what? And then poof, poof, poof. Next thing you know, and then I hear, wee, wee. And they hand me this beautiful baby and the doctor declares, it's a girl. And as they hand me Quincy, I say, no matter what, honey, I will love you for your entire life, no matter what. And although a C-section was not my planned course on both of my pregnancies, I had 2 C-sections. It's okay, because it's my path. And when I look at my cesarean scar, I think that's okay, because that's my baby door. Thank you.
I'm sitting in my surgeon's office for a post-op visit, and he turns on the computer and he shows me the x-ray of my knee with the plate and 6 pins he just put in. And he just looks at me and says, "You have soft bones. You do know that you have osteoporosis, don't you?" I mean, no doctor has ever been that blunt. What happened was about 2 weeks ago, I was in the park with my dog, and it was off-leash hours, so dogs were running around as dogs do, and out of nowhere, this 80-pound dog came running toward me, and I could not get out of the way fast enough, and it just sideswiped me. And I remember thinking, oh, I am going to be so sore and so bruised. And little did I know that collision was so violent that it broke my tibia at my knee. I mean, he broke my knee, and then I fell. 20 years ago, I began menopause, which means that in addition to my yearly mammogram and my gynecological pap smear, I now have to start having bone density tests because the bones need to be addressed. And after the first test, I'm looking at the report with my gynecologist. I don't understand it. I mean, it has lumbar, neck, femoral numbers, and I don't know, but I do know the last line. It says, "Don't fall." And I'm thinking, don't fall? What am I supposed to do? Stand in one place for the rest of my life? Don't fall. I mean, come on. I downhill ski and I fall and I'm okay. I ride my bike, I fall sometimes, I'm okay. I mean, I'm insulted, don't fall. Anyway, my gynecologist puts me on a prescription medication to address my bones. It's got a lot of rules. To take it once a week, which is fine, but you have to take it first thing in the morning with a full glass of water. You can't eat for 2 hours, and you have to remain upright for 30 minutes. But I do it. And then down the road, I need some oral surgery, and apparently with this medication, you have to stop while you're having oral surgery. So I do. And then I'm not really sure when I'm supposed to go back on the medication, so I just pick 6 months and I go back. And now I'm sloppy. I take it with orange juice, I take it with coffee, I don't wait the 2 hours before I eat. I mean, I'm thinking, I don't really need this. I mean, I'm not doing triple axles. I'm fine. And every time I see my gynecologist, she doesn't say anything about the report. She asks if I'm taking the pills, and I'm honest. One year she did say that she got a report and it said that I had the bones of a 25-year-old, which we know wasn't true. And we laugh. And then I'm I wonder, did she ever get the right report? Did she read it? I mean, I figure everything's okay because she doesn't say anything. I mean, everything must be fine. I'm not taking blood pressure medication. I am not taking cholesterol medication. All those numbers are fine. So I'm just thinking, my bones are fine. I tell myself my bones are fine. I don't really know, but I don't ask. There's no problem. I just want to assume that everything's fine. And then 3 years ago, I get a letter from my gynecologist's office telling me that I have not been going to my appointments for the past couple of years because there's no reports. And I'm thinking, no, wait a minute. Of course I'm going for my appointments. I'm very diligent about going for my appointments. Okay, maybe not the pills. But then I'm thinking, if there's no reports, then that means that no doctor knows anything about my female health. I could have breast cancer. I could have ovarian cancer. I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't, but I don't know. And no one's telling me anything, and my gynecologist doesn't say anything. I assume everything's fine, and I don't ask. I just keep thinking that it's all good. I get a new primary care physician, and she's really attentive. I mean, every time I have a blood test, she reads the report and she gives me a note on my chart in the portal. Like she'll tell me that the numbers are fine, or she told me that I have to start taking vitamin D. So I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to write her and tell her. And I do. I tell her that an 80-pound dog ran into me, broke my knee, I needed surgery, I had to have a plate and pins put in, and I have soft bones. And she reads it. And she answers me. And she tells me that I must get a new protocol for my bones. And she writes a referral because I have to start seeing a rheumatologist. And I'm thinking, why didn't my gynecologist say anything? If she was reading the reports, even if some were missing, she knew that my bones were deteriorating, and she didn't say anything to me. And I didn't ask. I mean, I could have asked, but I had to wait until an 80-pound dog ran into me, broke my knee. I had to have an ambulance take me to the hospital. I had to have surgery. I had a plate, 6 pins put on my knee. And then I was stuck on my couch for 10 weeks because I couldn't put any weight on my leg. And now I'm walking with crutches. My gynecologist failed me. I failed me. I mean, I didn't ask any questions. I didn't try to change the protocol. I didn't want to know the truth. I didn't really want to know that I have soft bones, and I did not want to know that I have osteoporosis. Thank you.
The monthly hurricane, the angry alien, the unhappy tenant is back. I find a specialist, a surgeon, and she believes me when I describe the symptoms. And she does all these tests, lots of them, all kinds of things I've never had done, questions never asked of me. This is the first time I've not had to campaign to be heard, to be believed. The first time a doctor tells me this is not normal. The first time a doctor hasn't oddly questioned whether I know exactly where my uterus is. Damn it, I do know where it is. I say yes to her recommendations, all of it. Hell yes, take it all out. I have the surgery, a hysterectomy, a 5-hour omnibus surgery, removing the sticky accumulation of endometriosis. All those fibroids and cysts and growths and a distorted uterus, 3 times its normal size. No wonder I was in pain. I wake up to the sound of the surgeon's voice, and she says, "It went well, but we want to be sure. Now recover. We're going to study what we took out. We just want to be really sure it's not what we think it very likely is, ovarian cancer." And I'm home recovering, and of course I'm worrying about the cancer, and I fade in and out of sleep on pain medications, and I'm having this recurring dream that the surgeon has called, and she says, "We have something new, a new discovery. We were able to put together your uterus and ovaries. We were able to fix everything, and we're ready to put it back in." It's a nightmare. I'm being haunted by my uterus and ovaries. Weeks later, the report comes in, and the surgeon confirms it's not cancer. I was lucky. She says it could have become one. There's so much we don't know yet. You were lucky. But not a bit of it was normal. And I tell her about my dream, restoring my uterus, putting everything back in, and she says, no, you're done now. You're free. Finally, I'm free.